Hi there, welcome to Business Leadership Podcast. In this podcast, I interview successful business leaders and industry experts to help you grow your business. In this episode, my guest is Steph Palermo. She is an international speaker, she's a consultant, and she's also a radio talk show host. And she's also an author of her book, It's Not Personal, Sonny, It's a Business, How to Run a Life, Family, and Business Like a Sicilian. Now, we had a discussion around the various interesting topics around the leadership and business. And one of the items she talks about during our discussion is that business leaders are dealing with a lot of mental health issues for their own health, or also issues around the team as well. If you look at the recent data, 1 in every 5 Canadians dealing with either mental health issues, or they know somebody in a family or at work who's dealing with these challenges. So she talks about what can business leaders do and to how to deal with some of these challenges, and also the creativity side of business leaders. If you're working on some of the creativity items, you need to spend some time by yourself and work on yourself. What can you do, and what are the options out there, and how can she help business leaders? So if you like this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, enjoy this episode. Talk soon. Hi guys, welcome to Business Leadership Podcast. Today my guest is someone very special, Steph Palermo. Steph, I love the title of your book. It's Not Personal, Sonny, It's a Business, How to Run a Family, Life, and Business Like a Sicilian. Looking forward to a discussion. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. I'm excited. Thank you for inviting me here.
You're welcome. So let's talk about this book. Very interesting title. So how did you come to write? What inspired you to write this book, and what's the book is about?
So this is actually my third book. I published one before. I have one that's kind of waiting. But what's special about this book is I love Sicily so much, and I spent extended time there. And what happened when I was there, I realized that everything I was talking to clients and audiences about, I was experiencing on steroids in Sicily. Family ties, purpose-driven work, community, simplicity, respect, a lot of the topics that I cover in my book. And I was raised steeped in Sicilian traditions. My grandmother was born in Riesi, Sicily, and I grew up around all of the cultural traditions and hearing all about Sicily and Riesi and the family. And we celebrated holidays and Sunday dinners, and the family was it's the foundation of our lives. It's everything. And for Sicilians and Italians and a lot of other ethnicities as well, family connections are really the most important in our lives. And I grew up so close with my cousins, and I couldn't wait to be with them. Even to this day, when we have a family wedding, I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm going to be with my cousins. Yeah. And so when I traveled to Sicily, I realized not only was it very familiar to me because they were doing what we do here in my family, but I also recognized that as Americans, we were watered down. We lost a lot of what the Sicilian life is like because we are Americans living that hustle and bustle. Sicilians would much rather spend time in the coffee shop with their friends, connecting and building relationships than getting a second job. And if you think about what's really important in life, relationships are the most important. That's the measure of success. How many healthy relationships do you have in your life, including your work relationships? People don't leave jobs because they don't like their job. They leave jobs because they don't like their boss or their coworkers. So I took all this and I put it into this book and I talked about how my family immigrated from Sicily and why we say some of the things we do, some of the traditions. And I love talking about that. I've gone to Riesi many times. I have cousins there. I found my family in Sicily, and oh my gosh, I love them so much. And I actually went into the mayor's office, and my great grandfather's picture was on the wall as the part of the group that brought their religious traditions over to Boston. They founded the Society di San Giuseppe. It's St. Joseph's Society of Riesi. So with that, I put that all together, and I brought forth 10, what I call 10 pillars of Sicilian life. Now, remember, I don't actually have God in there, but it's in God, and spirituality is all interwoven in this book. It can be implied, implied. But I talk about family, the dinner table, respect, loyalty, generosity, fear or lack thereof, leisure, purpose-driven work, forgiveness, and love. And what you see behind me is actually in Teresini, Sicily, and they have love. I walk by, when you walk by the sea every day. That's what I see every day when I'm there. So I talk about all of these topics. I start with a story of how I came to understand what this means, and it's an easy book to read. And then I offer suggestions on how to incorporate that into your family life and business. Businesses can learn from this, because really, when you think about it, people are trying to steal out. There's no sense of loyalty anymore. People are trying to steal other people's jobs, or they're worried about their jobs. They're looking over their shoulders. They're feeling inadequate. In a healthy family, no child wants to be the mom. The mom doesn't want to be the child. Everybody stays in their lane. Sitting down to the dinner table, companies that bring their group together over a meal, it's a bonding time. It's important, and I think, especially if you can do this in smaller businesses, if a manager or someone on the executive team or the president of the company invites people to their home for dinner, you will have a loyal bunch for sure.
And all of those items are so missing in these days, especially in a business environment. We miss all those 10 items you just mentioned. We miss so much in a business.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so when you bring people to your home and you feed them and you sit around and you talk, you get to know them, you bond with them. And now all of a sudden you have somebody who's behind you. They're behind you. They're buying into what you're doing, and they're part of something bigger than themselves. Respect. People don't respect themselves. They don't respect their environment. They don't respect the people around them. They don't respect the politicians. They don't respect the world. And but respect starts with yourself. And then respecting our employees or our coworkers when they come in by treating them properly, greeting them when people have ideas, not mocking them or allowing sort of this free flow. Hire creative people, give them their space, and they'll produce. Respect their family life. Respect, that there's something going on in their world, and they'll come in better if you allow them to fix what's happening out there. In fact, you may get more. Loyalty. We see this everywhere. Back in the day, people worked in the same company for 40 years. Today, I couldn't even get interns to respond to emails. They just, people are not, they're not loyal anymore. They're saying it's all about me. But when you're part of a family, I can tell you right now, if my mom needed me, I'm there.
Yeah.
Or if my sister calls me, if she says, I need help moving a couch, I'm going over there to help her.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the other part of it. If I'm finished with my task at work, instead of playing on my phone, I might go over to the team next to me and say, hey, do you guys need a hand with something? What can I help you with?
Mm-hmm.
Just like I would help my mom in the kitchen.
Yeah. Yeah. Very interesting. So how much of that has changed over the last couple of years what we've gone through with this COVID, and everybody just segregated, and they we gone all digital, like you and I were talking on a camera. So how much has that still been challenged over the last couple of years, and how people are finding a ways to still stay on top of these things what you just mentioned while they are locked in their homes, or they've been trying to work over technology instead of flying.
Yeah, it's difficult. It's just like if you look at your family, it was very difficult for me not to spend holidays or this past holiday, as a matter of fact, my whole family had COVID, and we had to go to Plan B on where we were going to eat, what we were going to do. So there's definitely a change, but I think if we look at it in a different light, and this goes with everything across the board, it's all about perspective. Being at home caused a lot of people to self-reflect. And we have a lot of time on our hands now. Now we're all home, and a lot of businesses were shut down, or they were on skeleton crew. Nothing was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so you had time to think about what was really important.
Okay.
You're spending more time with your children. You're spending time with your spouses. I think businesses can really take that and run with it, because if they start to care about, I remember there were stories, people would be on Zoom calls like this, and like somebody's husband would walk by naked. I mean, now we know, people are real. They have flesh and blood. They get blood running through their veins. They have feelings. They're trying to work. The dog's barking. The kids are screaming. And,
Mm-hmm.
This is reality.
Yeah.
This is real life. And if employers and coworkers can start to have compassion and empathy for their coworkers, for the people that they work with, don't you think that it's emotional intelligence?
Yeah, it's life. Life goes on, right? People still have to do balance between the life and work.
Yeah, absolutely. So I definitely think that we can take what happened with the whole pandemic and grow and learn from that.
So we talk about a lot of stuff, Steph. So what is some of those items you mentioned in your book? What can business leaders who are trying to build the companies, they're trying to build the teams, they've been challenged for the last few years. What can they draw from some of your items that you mentioned from a Sicilian family? What can they draw? They can take some of those items and apply that in a business and run their companies a little better.
Okay, so I think it starts at the beginning. I mean, a lot of times we react, but let's be proactive. Let's be a purpose-driven company, a strengths-based company. Let's hire people based on their strengths. I had an intern who left me. She was fabulous, and I got a call from, she was going to work in a real job, and they asked me what are her strengths, and I told them. I went down the laundry list because she was amazing. And they said, what are her weaknesses? I go, I don't know. I only asked her to do those things that she loved to do.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
And so, if there are other tasks that are not getting done, hire somebody that's good at those things. Be a strength-based organization. Hire the right people for the job. And they're going to love it because they're going to be happy because they're doing what they love.
Mm-hmm.
So start at the beginning. That's purpose-driven work. That's the whole chapter on work is about that. Sicilians, want to share their gifts. They're not looking to make a killing. They just want you to come into their restaurant and taste their delicious food, or go into the coffee shop and have a piece of the cassava cake, or try a little gelato, or maybe look at their ceramics and see how the beauty and the work and how they put their heart into it.
Wow.
That's what we're talking about. And when you believe in that as an employer, you believe in what you're doing, and you're treating your employees with the love and respect of a family, you're getting them to love what you're doing too, and to be bought in. They're the most important. They're more important than your clients and patients or whoever buys from you.
Interesting.
Your employees are your biggest advertiser. I mean, how many times do we sit around a bar having cocktails and people saying they hate their job, they hate their boss? How nice it is when someone says, "Oh my gosh, I love my company. I love where I work. They're so great." And then you want to buy, then you go, "Oh, okay, well, if I have a need for that, I'm going to go to that company." Because they treat people right. And if they treat their employees right, they're going to treat their clients right. So be a strengths-based organization. And there's a big part of our lives called leisure. And leisure is where living actually happens. And that's, where our minds is refreshed, our body rests, our spirit is lifted, and our heart expanded. This is where we're reading good books, we're hanging out with friends. This is where leisure time should be encouraged by employers, having their people take vacations, being okay. I knew people that were moving in the middle of a move. It was so stressful, and they didn't know how they were going to get through it because they couldn't take time off from work to pack their boxes or unpack them. That's not fair, because people are trying to survive here. And you want them to thrive. And if they're thriving, they're going to be better employees and be more productive. They're going to be willing to be up at midnight because they couldn't because they were doing something all day. They might be willing to sit down at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock at night after the kids are in bed and start getting on the computer and doing some of their work because they're that devoted.
Yeah. If you take care of them, they definitely take care of the business, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so that leisure time, even having leisure activities, I know there's a lot of companies that have like a ping pong table or a pool table, especially with the younger generation. But, maybe doing some leisure activities as a whole it doesn't include work stuff. Having a Monday morning healthy breakfast because everyone's had a weekend, and just where you just talk about what you did. Friday afternoon happy hour, midweek lunch and learn with a wellness program with somebody like me that would come in and talk about bettering their lives and improving their lives and being purpose driven and being aligned. Things like that. Google, I believe, has an employee and their title is he's a jolly good fellow. And his job is to make sure that everybody's happy. He just runs around making sure everybody's happy.
Well, they must have thought it's so important. That's why they hire somebody just for that job, right? So, what you think is important, that's where you want to put your resources and money on, right? So they're hiring somebody to make everybody happy. That means, for them, that maintaining that energy probably very important.
Yeah, and a lot of the European countries are going to some of the other. I've heard about this. They're at 4-day work weeks. What does it? I understand there's meetings that have to be you have to attend meetings and you need to be part of all that. But if everybody's getting their work done and clients' needs are met, who cares when people are working? I like the idea of, being dressed in a business suit and being there, being available and being present and not just online. But when that's when you have to be part of the whole. But when you're working on your individual tasks, what does it matter if your computer is sitting on your kitchen table while your toddler is running, in the playpen?
Yeah. You can do both at the same time, or do it in your own time whenever you can do it.
I just say do what works. I mean, if you're in the finance business and you have to be, meeting with clients all day long, then you need to be dressed properly and in your office.
Mm-hmm.
There's no doubt, but maybe there's some other parts of that job that can be done in the evening, or at another time when you're not at the office. If you're a doctor, you have to be dressed in your scrubs and you need to be at the office seeing patients.
So do you see a lot of businesses in Sicilian, they run similar to what you just described? Do they do 4 days a week? Do they work when, and whatever hours they can, do they have that kind of easygoing environment in a business?
I can tell you the Sicilians are way less stressed. They have they live longer.
Yeah, they definitely, so recently studied that, one of the town around Sicily was, the life was, average life was way beyond any other part of the world.
Yes. So it's very close to a blue zone environment, which there's 5 blue zones. One of them is Sardinia in Italy, Loma Linda, California, Okinawa, Japan. There's 5. And they're very close to that. So they're much less stressed. Now so if you own a restaurant, there's a mandatory day that your restaurant is closed, and they don't all close in the same day. So they vary. So everyone has their chance. And those days, I believe that they scrub the restaurant from top to bottom. So there's some of that. They work different hours. Everybody takes siesta. Everybody's done, from 1 o'clock is lunch, 1 o'clock, 1:30, and then everybody sleeps. It's quiet. And if you're talking loud, someone's going to go, shh, everyone's sleeping from, till 3:30ish, 4 o'clock. Restaurants don't open back up until 8 o'clock at night. Wow. So they rest, but they're spending their leisure time with family, enjoying hospitality. It's a simpler life. There's not a lot of running around. Kids aren't running off doing piano and baseball and soccer and painting and violin all in one season. It's just not like that.
And quality of the food has to be a big part of what they do, right? It's not, they're not eating all the processed food on a daily basis. Definitely the quality of the food is just
there's no sulfates in the wine. There's no preservatives. Pretty much. So I make my own homemade ricotta here in the States, because the expiration date is too long for me. And I think, why does it last that long? Because when I'm in Sicily, when I buy it could go rotten from the time I go from the supermarket to the car. We're like, hurry.
Yeah.
Let's get, home. I'm putting stuff in a cooler, because it will go bad. It's because it's all that fresh. The food is just so much better. The meats, it just, everything is less processed. You feel less bloated, and you breathe. And this is why I'm hosting retreats in Sicily, because I'm teaching people not only how to make a connection to a higher power with a spiritual practice, but actually experiencing a sort of a blue zone life, so that they can take that back with them and incorporate what is possible here in the United States or wherever they happen to live.
Yeah, definitely food is a big part. I take it, but I think that the stress is another part of it, right? So they just don't have stress around their work, their businesses, very, very easy environment compared to that competitive advantage that we trying to gain here in the US and Canada and trying to struggle.
And they don't overdo anything. They're not gluttonous. They only eat a little bit. They'll eat whatever they want. They'll definitely, you'll see girls this big at the coffee shop eating a brioche like this, in the morning, but they just don't stress over that, but they'll eat, and that will be it for them, maybe for the day until 8 o'clock at night. They might, they don't really overdo anything. It just isn't gluttonous.
Mm-hmm.
Even with the drinking, there's wine and alcohol, and, we're sitting in the piazza, there's all kinds of drinks flowing, but it just isn't overdone.
Yeah. Well, business leaders, for here in US and Canada, what have we gone through for the last few years is a lot of stress, right? Stress on the financial stress, health wise, economy wise, we're still going through a lot of that stuff. And business leader who are always looking for a fresh perspective, or they're looking to do their own thinking, that kind of time in that kind of environment, I think I would recommend, definitely allows you to think, slow it down a little bit, and get a different perspective, which you so needed to get back in a business, right? So a little bit time off in that kind of environment definitely give you a lot of new perspective.
Absolutely. I mean, I think what was going through my mind when you were just speaking is I wonder if a CEO or an executive person was listening to this, would they say, well, how am I going to compete with my competition if I'm not continually on that treadmill?
Mm-hmm.
And I would, because you think, okay, well, I'm going to lose that advantage, that edge, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to disagree, because as an entrepreneur, I do better when I step back from my work and I engage in extreme self-care.
Mm-hmm.
That's when things start to flow in. And I believe if an employer or a business owner or an executive person starts implementing these ideas with their teams, they're going to see a higher productivity. They're not going to have to worry about keeping up with their competitors, because they're going to go way ahead of them.
Yeah, especially business leaders. They don't need to do a lot of transactional stuff that that goes on in a business all day. They need to be more creative to find a new solution, new ways of doing things. So they need to do a lot more creative work. They need to have a lot of critical thinking because they have to make a lot of decisions on ongoing basis. So for them, taking that, slowing it down a little bit and stepping out for a little bit, it's not going to make much impact on a competitor, because they're going to come out with a probably different perspective, new ideas. So the creative work, you can do that in that kind of slow environment, which is very hard to do when you're going, running after chasing meetings on a daily basis.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I definitely think that being connected to something greater than ourselves, with a spiritual connection, I'm not going to be pushing any religion or any practice, just knowing that there's something bigger than ourselves out there and being connected to that, and knowing that we're here for 3 reasons: to love, be loved, and to co-create with the divine creator. And that creation could be a business, it could be a spreadsheet, it could be creating babies, it could be painting a painting, or
yeah,
dog grooming. It doesn't matter. It's creating your life within your purpose, and being aligned to something bigger than yourself, and aligned to your higher self.
Mm-hmm.
Always serving your higher self. And when we put ourselves first in that light, everything else will fall into place, including the people around us.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter what do you worship, but that having the belief system is so critical, on some higher power, right? So having just a belief system definitely, keeps you on a track. Definitely when the challenging time comes in a business, or a critical time comes in when you have to stay grounded, that kind of belief system definitely get you through a lot of obstacles.
Thoughts become things, and
Yeah.
Your mindset matters. And if you are connected to something bigger than yourself, that your back is covered and it's all going to be okay, even if it doesn't feel good right at this moment.
Yeah.
It's all going to work out, and your business is going to be fine one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And caring about yourself and engaging in extreme self-care is the best thing you can do for yourself. And, now we're in the new year, we have this clean slate. I'm not a big proponent of resolutions, but I am someone who encourages the way you think and the way you what you believe is, and how you perceive things is your reality. And maybe instead of adopting resolutions, or you will say, I'm going to feel my best in all areas of my life every day, and bring that into your work environment and see how things change.
Well, business leaders have a responsibility to take care of a lot of staff members, a lot of teams, a lot of people dependent on them. But if they're not in a right mindset, they don't take care of themselves. There's no self-care for them. How are they going to take care of other people? So it starts from taking care of yourself first, then you can go take care of other people, right? So I think that's why it's so important for business leaders to take care of themselves. So, if they find out that the strength and energy, so they can also help out other people in a company.
Yeah, and it sounds like everything that I'm saying is so simplistic, and maybe does this appeal to somebody who, at IBM or some executive if this appeals to, this is for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It's simple, but it's profound, and a lot of time, oftentimes difficult to live out, because we have all of this confusion in our lives. We have people around us that are toxic, beliefs that don't serve us. We have people who depend on us, whether it's our kids or our employees or our coworkers or our aging parents. And we have all this, we're being pulled in all kinds of directions. And unless we get grounded in these beliefs and understandings and these pillars that I talk about, it's going to be difficult. You might be successful, you might make a lot of money, but in the end, do you feel good? Do the people around you feel good? Is everybody happy? Are you enjoying your life, or is there something missing?
Yeah. Where's the purpose? What purpose do you have? Mm-hmm. Very interesting. So how do you help out people, Steph, business leaders who definitely, want to gain a different perspective. They want to slow it down. So how do you help out business leaders who are looking for some help?
So I offer a couple of different services. I offer retreats in Sicily. These are exclusive. It's not a bus tour.
Mm-hmm.
This is learning how to live that blue zone life. And we'll definitely be hitting some sites, but it's going to be this siesta, little talks. I'm offering journals. I have journals that I've created, and sitting in the piazza, a cooking lesson with my friends who are chefs, things like that. And it's private. It's up to 6 people at max, because we're in a car with my driver.
Okay.
It's really exclusive. And so that's an 8-night trip. I have one coming up in February 5th. We have 3 spots left if people are interested in that. You can definitely, if you can get tickets and you can get away, you can come. So it's not that much, not that difficult if you don't have little ones at home. There'll be others in June and September. I also offer one-on-one soul guidance. These are packages. And what I did with the retreat, with the vacation in Sicily, is I've melded the two. So I'm also offering, in the package price of the retreat, you'll also get some sessions with me afterwards to help you maintain the sort of the blue zone-ish way of living, and to guide you. But I do have also a one-on-one package. And I am the host of the Just Steph radio show, and it's Monday nights on WATD 95.9 FM, as well as I can come in and offer lunch and learns, workshops. I'm trained in infinite possibilities. I can come in and teach that I have a corporate version of that. So all of that, and of course my books, it's not personal, Sonny, it's business, how to run your family life and business like a Sicilian. And I can also offer your audiences a free download of my first book, which will, when they subscribe to my newsletter.
Very kind. So what is it radio shows about, Steph?
So I speak to all aspects of healthy living for what I've coined as second lifers. We're empty nesters, newly single, and those starting over. So it's essentially the over 45 crowd. But I talk about all different, mindset. I offer, 50 years ago, we were old. My mother at 50 certainly wasn't boxing and practicing hot yoga, dating, going out dancing, and, all of that. And so, at our age now, people would say, oh, I want to run a marathon. Okay. They just started and they do it. And people at my age, they say, oh, I've been an accountant my whole life. I want to be a dog groomer. And so you're a second lifer. And so I talk about mindset. I have some healings that go on. I also talk about, how to soothe your soul, like things that practical ideas that you can incorporate into your life to be more at peace with where you're at. I have the Just Steph rules of dating. So it's a really great show that's all around. I talk about healthy, living. I have soul block, what blocks you from advancing. I have so I started this week with a series on the ego. And so I started it last night. And, for the next few weeks during the soul block segment, I'll be talking about the ego and how that gets in the way of living.
Wow. Very interesting. Where can people find this book, Steph?
So it's on Amazon. It's on Amazon. Whoops, can you see it? Yeah, there it is. So it's you can find it there. If you want a signed copy, you can go to buystephsbook.com and I will send it to you personally and sign it. But you could definitely get it on Amazon. I am going to be recording an audio, which I'll be doing that soon. So I'm excited about that. And so it's everywhere where you can buy books online.
Yeah, I'm going to include a link below the video as well. So people can just click a button and they can, get a copy of the book and they can connect with you. Definitely business leaders who are listening, who are watching, definitely, I learned, definitely, we all need a new perspective. We need to find a new ways of doing things. You just need to come sometime we just in a team time for self-care. I think, retreats like these, what you just mentioned, or spending time, by yourself, it makes a huge difference and definitely gives you time to a little bit of space to take care of yourself and also find out some new ideas, what you need to figure out.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Business leaders who are watching, I definitely encourage them to read a book, get a copy of the book and reach out to you for conversation, connect with you for discussion and see where that takes you.
Absolutely.
Hey, thank you so much for your time, Steph. I learned so much from our discussion and, look forward to our future discussions.
Yeah, I love it.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.